A 5K is really hurting your performance. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at exactly why 5Ks are probably not just slowing you down, but also actively holding you back from making you the most effective player that you can be. Now, a lot of hockey players do 5Ks almost as a default because they don't necessarily know what it is they should be doing to improve their conditioning. But as I'm going to be explaining, there are a number of reasons why it probably isn't the best option for you, and in fact could even be slowing you down and not making you the most effective player you can be. Number one is that 5Ks actually build the wrong engine entirely. If you look at the demands of hockey, it's a repeat sprint sport. It's the ability to perform a high intensity action, i.e., a high speed sprint, a deceleration, a quick change of direction to create space and separation, a short period of recovery, and then another sprint. And repeat sprint ability is usually defined as three sprints within a 1 minute window. In other words, three high intensity actions per minute. Now, if you think about the polar opposite of this, something like a 5K steady state run, there are no high intensity actions at all, and it's a continual run. Whereas if you look at hockey, it's a polarized sport. It's very high intensity with then quick recovery periods, very high intensity, very quick recovery periods. So you've got to make sure you're preparing for the demands of the game. And ultimately, what a 5K does is it prepares you for endurance. So if you're an endurance athlete, fantastic. It's going to improve the energy systems that are most important. But if you're a hockey player, there's a difference here, which is that you're doing a lot of volume in your week anyway. And that volume of hockey is what's giving you your aerobic baseline anyway. So just simply doing 5Ks is just adding more stuff to your training week. Number two is that it completely ignores the demands of the game, as we've just said. Most of the time on the pitch is not spent running at a steady state for a continual period of time in a linear direction. It is multi-directional, high intensity, repeat sprint sport. So if you're not preparing for those demands, then you're simply not getting yourself as prepared as you possibly could be. Now, the problem with the 5K is that, as I say, it's ignoring the real demands. So if you're just doing steady state work, you're going to get really good at that, which is fine, but it's not going to make you a better player. In elite level hockey, players can be doing sometimes even five high intensity actions per minute, and that's often within a 15 to 20-second recovery period per action. Now, if you compare that to steady state of 20, 25 minutes of sort of slow plodding along, it's completely misaligned with what the sport is trying to prepare you for. So your training really is preparing you or should be preparing you for the demands of a chaotic, high intensity demand sport, not a casual jog on a Sunday. Another problem is that it undermines your explosiveness. If you're preparing to run slowly, then guess what? Your body is going to learn to run slowly and it's going to be very efficient and effective at running slowly. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into repeat sprint sport. So what you want to make sure is that you're actually making yourself as explosive as possible. On my Instagram page, I've recently shared a video around this, which is an example of a player essentially pivoting, creating a really high speed acceleration to create separation, and then a goal scoring threat, goal scoring opportunity because of that high intensity action. It wasn't because he slowly jogged around the pitch and eventually created an opportunity. It was because it was a fast, explosive opportunity for a goal scoring opportunity, quick recovery, and then another follow up shot after that. And that is where hockey exists. So you want to try and be as explosive as you can be. You want to be the fastest, most explosive athlete you can. Think about the best athletes you can think of or the most effective performers in your team. They're likely the most powerful, the fastest, and can repeat that again and again and again without fatigue. They're not the ones who can just jog and jog and jog and jog for a full game. It's important to be able to last the full game, but ultimately, games are won and lost on explosiveness, not on the ability to run slowly. So to counter this, improve your top end speed, improve your sprint ability, improve your ability to recover quickly between efforts by using interval based work, not just steady state work. Remember, slow training creates slow players. Another challenge is that 5Ks just don't prepare for the worst case scenarios. In a worst case scenario in the game, it might be something like 3 or 4 fast, successive, high speed repeat bouts of really tough work interspersed with very short recovery periods. We've said this might be a 10 to 15-second recovery before having to perform another really high intensity bout. Think about turnovers, think about goal scoring opportunities, and then follow ups and counter attacks. There's going to be a very short period of time before you could just do it straight away again. So make sure you're preparing for those worst case scenarios. Your body should be ready and resilient for those really difficult phases of the game where actually you've got to do loads of hard work in a short period of time. And finally, 5Ks are going to waste your own valuable running time and training time. You've got to make sure that the valuable time you've got in your week is being spent wisely and not just spent just doing slow, steady state work. If you've already got a busy week, you're already training a number of times, you've got a game on the weekend, maybe multiple games in a week, make sure you're using the limited time you've got effectively. So you're working on your own personal targets, your own personal work ons. Now, as I've already said, most of the sport is repeat sprint sport. It's a speed based game. So making sure we're doing really high quality speed work every week, high quality repeat sprint work at the right times, interspersing this with the right type of interval work for your running profile, which you should know, and not just sticking to like a generic, let's run a 5K and hopefully that's going to get me ready for the demands of the sport. Remember, just to reiterate, if you're doing a lot of hockey in the week, then you're already getting a lot of volume. Like the sport itself is giving you your volume. The sport isn't giving you necessarily the high intensity work. Now, I've said that it is that type of sport, yes, but it doesn't mean that the very high intensity work is going to be given to you every single week because when you're on the pitch, you might be running, well, you will be running with a stick, you might be in possession, so you're running with the ball, you might be fatigued already, so you're not going to be hitting those high intensities. So if you've got all of this hockey volume in your week already, just make sure you counter that with really high quality speed work, good quality strength training, plyometric work, position specific work and individually specific work for you as well. So if you are a hybrid or speed profile based on your running demands and running capabilities, making sure you're doing the right kind of interval work for you and not just doing steady state work like everybody else. So the key message is just making sure that you're getting fit for hockey and not just getting better at the things that don't matter. So my key message is essentially train for the game. Don't expect to perform when it matters if you aren't doing so. So just make sure you're doing the right things at the right time and making sure that your training mirrors the demands of hockey.